Hey YouTube, it's Cutt here, and we're bringing you another one. I'm a digital artist who likes to watch movies with the people. And today we're about to do something we've never done before, and that is a review on a TV show where we're going to do episode by episode every week. You know, the thing is, when I did my podcast, because it's already been, 5 months consistently every week, because I thought I could never do it. But after I did that, I'm like, well, if I can do that, I can do other things consistently. For once. So yeah, definitely go ahead and check out the podcast. It is starting to grow over there. It's popping, so go check it out. We talk about art, entertainment, news, and all the things that's happening in pop culture. So definitely go ahead and check that out over there. If you have not already, don't forget to like, subscribe, push that notification button, because we're going to keep bringing this stuff to you. Now, the way I have it set up right now is a temporary thing, because I'm probably going to want to go the direction, like the live direction. So if I do go live, it'll be consistent, but I just haven't prepared well for that. I don't know what direction I want to go, if I want to change the look that I had before. I don't know. So we're just going to keep it the way it looks right now for this episode, maybe even the next one, and maybe by the third episode we'll have a new look. So stay tuned for that. So the first two points, or kind of 3 points, is going to be a non-spoiler, but this episode is a spoiler review. Okay, so I'm gonna let you know once we get to the plot, and breaking down the plot and what I feel about that. That's gonna be a spoiler. Okay, so this first part is the overall feeling. So overall, it feels good to be back in this universe. It feels good to like see the story again, see the characters again. The vibe, like the temperature, the color temperature is just so good. Like it has this warm yet cold, yet like what's it called when you're like what's liminal space but not fully liminal, so it's this weird like middle section, which I really like. This one in this particular episode is a little bit more cooler, and for reasons that we'll talk about later, but overall it still feels like Silo. Okay, and yes, I do have coffee. I do have coffee. Now let me rank it. My ranking for this episode, I'm gonna say 7.5 out of 10. 7.5 out of 10. It's very much a catch you up episode. It's not much going on. It is a little slower of an episode, but it was really good. 7.5 out of 10. Okay. All right. We are going into spoiler alert territory. Okay, so if you don't want to be spoiled, go ahead and watch the episode and come back. If you don't mind being spoiled, stick along. Okay, so let's get into the plot. So first, it starts off with a recap, which I 1000% recommend for any show to do a recap, especially from season to season. So if you want from season 1 and now we're in season 2, do a recap, because even if it was the very next year, you're not going to remember a lot of stuff, and a lot of things slip through your mind. So a recap is really important. So I would definitely do a recap. And I even say do a recap from episode to episode, because it'll remind you of little things that you thought you remembered that they're going to remind you of, because it's important in this particular episode. So I wouldn't skip recaps unless you know for sure, like unless you binged it. Like if you're binging it, okay, skip the recap. You just watched it. But if it's been a week or so, definitely. And then for Silo, it's been like 2 years. So definitely do the recap. So we start off with a flashback. Now, I don't know how I'm going to be doing these images. I don't know if it's going to be screen grabs. I don't know. So just bear with me with these images. Most importantly, listen to what I'm saying. Okay? So it starts off with a flashback of a rebellion of another Silo. So remember, now, we're not going to be... let me stop you right here. What we're not going to be doing is actors' names. Now, we'll do the characters' names, but we're not doing actors' names, because I don't know these people. And even though I did have to even look up the characters' names, I didn't feel like looking up the characters' names and the actors. So if you know who these people are, go ahead and tell me, because you know I don't know who these people are. So we're going by the character's name, okay? So Juliette, who's the main character, remember from season 1, she escaped the Silo alive, okay? Now, I don't know how much the main Silo knows if she's alive or not. They didn't see her die, but that doesn't mean they believe she's alive or not, if that makes sense. Because they usually see people die when they get to the hill. They didn't see that with her. So they might be like, is she alive or is she dead? I'm sure there's chaos happening right now, but we don't know about that in this particular episode yet. Okay? But remember, when we zoomed out last episode, it was all the different silos. And you're like, oh, it's a whole situation going on. It's a whole there's a whole conspiracy going on. Okay, so she goes to check out another. So we're seeing a flashback of another silo, and they have a rebellion going on. So basically, with this silo that we know is successful in, which is keeping the people calm. Like, we don't know what's out there. You don't want to go out there because you're going to die. We don't want to all die. So let's keep things orderly. This silo was like, forget that. We doing a rebellion. We getting on out of here. Okay, we get on out of here. Now, there was a shot that I didn't recognize when I watched the episode, probably because I watched it at 3 o'clock in the morning. I was a little tired, so next time I need to watch it when I'm not tired. So we might not get super early. So I got to get a better schedule because it comes out on Fridays. Fridays at like 3 a.m. And I mean, I'll be up late, but I don't know if I want to sit there and watch a show at 3 a.m. and then, record it. It's a whole thing. Anyway, so, but there was a shot before the rebellion really took off where he gets a message that says the generator will be flooded in 15 minutes, which I didn't notice that. So that helps with later on, because I wasn't really understanding about the water that we're going to see a little bit later on. But I wonder if it caught anybody else off guard because I missed that message. But I guess it still probably would have, because it was like such a quick message. But anyway, so we see that message. They go ahead, they storm the Capitol. Okay, or the sheriff's office. It's hard to tell exactly where they're at, like what part of the silo they're in. But anyway, it looks like probably like the sheriff's office, just like in the other silo. So they go ahead and they storm that. And then when we see them leave, because they make a bridge to get on the other side, because it seemed like they like destroyed the bridge to get like the walkway to get over. So the rebellions, they like, we're gonna build our own little bridge on over. There's some casualties, some deaths, but they get on over. So eventually they go outside. They said, let's go outside. They got their green flag. They about to, they marching out. All of them are leaving out. Boom. We cut to Juliette, and we see her alive and well, walking around trying to figure out what's going on the outside. So we notice the green flag, that's obviously old, and then we see all the bodies. All the rebellion bodies. Yikes, they ain't get far. They did not get far. To the point where not only did they not get far, not only was it a lot of them out there just dead on the ground, but even because the door was open, all the way down the steps, dead bodies. And let me tell you something, this was a great shot. Like, it was a really great shot seeing her, because she's like, all right, well, let me go inside. We see her climbing down the steps. In other words, climbing down the dead bodies. It's a really great shot, but it's also kind of like disgusting. Disgusting. So when she gets inside, I guess she's starting to run out of oxygen in the thing. She does shut the door. So this is where I'm always weird about airborne diseases or whatever, like in movies, because it's like, okay, the door's been open for who knows how long. I don't know how long this rebellion was. I mean, it had to be a long time. These bodies look decayed. So all whatever's on the outside must have been seeped in. So she sterilizes her suit with some liquid, some red liquid, and then she takes her suit off so she can breathe. But it's like, even though she shut the door, I'm sure that inside must be like, I don't know. I mean, maybe the pressure from the silo pushes things out and not pull things in. I don't know. And I mean, that's the only thing that would make sense. But I'm just kind of like, is she still safe? Like, but I don't know about that. Anyway. And then they cut to the intro. I was wondering, so I went back to season 1 to check if the intro is different. It doesn't seem to be different unless I'm missing something. I do like to, when I watch a new show, especially on Apple, because all their intros are always really, really cool, and they're usually animated, and I love an animated intro. I believe all shows that have animated intros, I believe in that. This one, it's not the best, it's not the worst, it's kind of neutral. It's not as good as Severance's intro, but this does look pretty good. But from what I've seen from season 1 to season 2, it seems to be the same intro. They didn't do anything different. Whereas like C on Apple TV, from what I remember, season 2's intro was a completely different thing than season 1. Which I do like that. I do like an upgraded intro. It doesn't have to change per episode, but it would be nice if it changes per season. But I understand that to be a lot of work, so I get it. Anyway, so then we get back to Juliette, and she's like looking around the abandoned silo. And then this was a good touch. So she goes into one of the rooms, she sees a mirror, and she breaks the mirror to see, kind of like, is this everywhere? Was it just ours that had the cameras in there, or was this happening everywhere? And as far as we know, it's been happening everywhere, because it sure was a camera behind the mirror. Okay. So there's obviously something really big going on, because what's up with all these silos? Why is everyone dying? Why are y'all watching everybody? Like, what's the big idea, right? We're trying to figure out what's really going on. Okay. So then she starts to kind of like reminisce, and we go into a flashback, and we see her, a young Juliette and a young Shirley, which seems to be her best friend. They didn't really play on that relationship in season 1, but I think they're going to go harder in season 2, because she kind of just left her to go upstairs to be the sheriff. You could tell they were close, but they didn't really like play on that much. It seemed like Shirley was upset with her, but probably loves her much because they were like best friends. So it's very like, I'm excited to see what comes about and how they kind of team up to do it, because they need a newer rebellion, but they need a plan, because at the end of the day, people still seem to be dying out there. Okay, so it's not like they could just walk out. It's still not like fully alive, but we need to figure out what's going on. Okay, so they show this scene of the flashback is showing when she goes back to when she first comes down to mechanical. So remember, in season 1, it was just her and her dad, but her dad kind of just wasn't. After her mom died, she just wasn't like connecting with her dad no more, and just needed to kind of separate. So she decided to go and live down with the mechanics. So this is after that scene, and then we see her starting to work with the mechanical people. So Martha, which is like her adopted, I would say grandma, because she's much older in age, but almost like an adopted grandma who takes her in and trains her and does all the things. Kind of like, so basically she saw a toy on the belt that was broken, so she took it back to the house to fix it, and Martha kind of was like, yeah, what we got to do with these toys? How about you fix this big thing over here? Just kind of reminding her that she can like fix and build anything, which we come to find out that she is really good at. So she got a lot of training from her. So Juliette started to talk about her mom dying, right? But then Martha was like, no, she ain't died, she killed herself. Now, before we go into what she said, what I thought was really cool, I can't remember how it sounded like she wanted to go out. She said she wanted to go outside, which technically is killing herself, but that's not quite the same as like literally unaliving yourself. So I don't know. I don't remember that in season 1. So I think they're going to probably show us a little bit more of that in season 2. Like what really was going on there. What was really going on there? But what she said, I really liked. She said, I wrote it down. She said, down here, we don't say it might not be operating at its projected capacity. We say it's broke. Kind of like, don't say she died. No, she killed herself. Like, let's get to the street. Like, we keep it real down here. And you can tell that became a part of Juliette's personality, because she's very straightforward, very much, I'm gonna tell you like it is. And she already was kind of like that, period. But I think this atmosphere and this way of life made her like that, like fully. You get what I'm saying? Which I really like that. Okay, where we at? So I wasn't gonna write this down because I didn't think it was important until something happened a little bit later. I was like, wait a minute, this might come up later. So Martha starts telling a story about when she got sick and she had pneumonia. What's it called? You know what I'm talking about. And so someone gave her penicillin to make her feel better, and she was fine. And she was just talking about how, like, when she woke up, she thought everyone left her, but really it was just 3 o'clock in the morning, and she was encouraged that people are just sleeping. But it basically was like a not feeling alone message. But I think the penicillin is going to come back up later on. I really think so. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So then, where are we at here? So then we go back to the present time where we see Juliette in that news silo, like checking it. You know, it's obviously abandoned. No one's in there because people are dead. But then she sees that same area that the rebels were trying to cross, because remember, the bridge was broken. So they but I guess the bridge is not down. So that's things like that. It's like, well, how did the bridge move and what's going on here? Anyway, so she sees light down there. And she starts to hear a sound. It's like, okay, maybe there's somebody alive down there. Let me go check. Let me get down there and see what's really going on. And so but obviously there's a gap. So she grabs a rope and she's trying to swing. And I'm like, all right, we already know how this is going to end. So she's trying to swing. So it was a dead body hung. She brought the body up, took the body off, and tried to use that same rope. But it's like, if the bodies look like that, you think this rope gonna last? Stuff be decaying. Anyway, she swing across, she falls. And you're like, oh, she's dead. She's dead. Because if you fall from that height, you're done. You're done. You're done. But the water below. So she actually fell into the water. But remember, not just her. Who can swim if you've never been in that much water? How can you ever learn how to swim? So she's obviously in struggle drowning mode, but she was able to get on type of thing, like one of those floaty things, and get on out. But she did hit her arm really bad, and she wrapped it. And this is when I thought about the penicillin. I think this is going to come up later on, because for her to hurt her arm like that and not really have any protection anywhere, I think later on she's going to start getting sick. And somebody's going to need to get her medicine. We ain't at predictions yet, but that's a prediction right now. And just because of the fact that they brought it up and just she hurt her arm like that and nobody's around to help her. Just throwing it out there. Okay, so she might need that later on. Juliette and Shirley, so we kind of go back to the flashbacks. So they go down to, remember in season 1, that underground area that nobody really knew about, only her and her boyfriend was going to. So this must be how she introduced it to her boyfriend, because Shirley introduced it to her. And they're just kind of down there, and Shirley starts to tell a story on when one time she was down there with friends, because if friends wouldn't do this. And she fell asleep, and she said, I guess they forgot about me or something. What? Anyway. So they left her down there and turned the lights off. So when she woke up, she couldn't see anything. So she had to find her way out. And obviously she figured it out until she is alive. And now she goes back down there from time to time. And then she brought Juliette down there. But Juliette responds and says, I could never do that. Like, there's no way I could have done that. And Shirley says, sure you could. What else were you going to do? Die? Which is a lovely line. But it's kind of like, what alternative do you have? Do you just sit there and die, or do you try to figure it out? You try to figure it out. And to this point, there's so many movies and shows and things that I watch where I'm like, why aren't you trying every method? Like, we just did, next week is Wicked Week. Keep in mind, next week is Wicked Week. So I just did The Wizard of Oz, and so we'll be watching The Wizard of Oz on Monday. And if you remember The Wizard of Oz, there's a scene where she is, where she's in the witch's room. The doors is locked, and she has like an hour or whatever before she dies. She's just sitting around. Girl, if you don't try to knock a door down, if you don't try to climb out a window, there's so many ways to get out of a room. I'm not saying you'll succeed, but why don't you even try? She's just sitting there crying. I'm like, and they do that a lot in movies. I'm like, there's so many options to get yourself on out. So this line is powerful, because like, what do you do? Sit there and die? Like, what do you do? But that line was encouragement for her now. So that memory allowed her to remember, wait a minute. There's always another way. There's always a survival method. Let me do what I need to do. So instead of a rope, she was like, let me use material. Let me use this metal and build a bridge. And this bridge was not stable. It wasn't the best bridge, but hey, the bridge worked. She was able to get across. Okay. Very unstable bridge, but she was able to get over there. However, when she got over there, the sound she was hearing was just a fan blowing some piece of metal. So it was kind of like, what was the point of this? Which is what she felt. So she's like, all right, let me just get on out of here. So now this is where it got a little weird, because coming back, because mind you, that bridge that she made to get over fell. So it was all right, now I got to make something else, another bridge. But there was like a large piece of metal. So either it was the bridge that they made that was pulled onto the other side, which makes some sense, to like stop others from coming over, or it was the barricades that side was using. I'm just not sure. But anyway, she was able to put it on some bins, roll it over, and then that one was a lot more stable. Like, she could probably just go back and forth with that. So as she's about to leave, she's like, and wait a minute. Oh no, she hears the music. That's what it is. So she hears the music. She's like, wait a minute. Somebody is here. Because now we're hearing music and I wasn't hearing music the whole time. She goes back. She sees a room with glass. She trying to open it. Don't open. She turns around. Through the window, the guy's like, listen. So there's a guy there. And he's like, listen, I understand that you be seeing doors that's locked and you try and get in. But if you try to get in here, I'ma kill you. And then it ended. There was no end credit scene or anything like that. So that was the episode. This is my prediction for the next episode and going forward. So this is what I think is going to happen. I think that she's going to have to convince the guy to not kill her and let's have a conversation. You don't have to let me in, but let's at least have a conversation. I think that's the first part. He seemed to be a lovely guy, but just terrified and just like not playing no games. Oh my goodness, it just hit me. So in the beginning, it just hit me. In the beginning of this episode, in the flashback, that little boy, it was a little boy. I didn't talk about it, but because I didn't think it was important until just now. It was a little boy who the dad. Okay, so let me get it right. The little boy's dad was the head of this rebellion. He was the one with the green flag, trying to get them all out. The little boy is the one who came into the rebellion area to give the note to the dad, he must be coming from mechanical. So obviously the dad and all the people died, but maybe he didn't die, and I think that's him because this guy is an older man. But the only way you could be an old man still stuck down there is if you were very, very young when the rebellion happened. Now that makes a lot more sense. Which would tell me the rebellion must have been 60 or 70 years, maybe 50 or 60 years ago. Okay, so that kind of answers my question. So anyway, but I don't know. I don't know if that's him, but it only makes sense that it would be him. So we're about to find that out. So I think he's the little boy. I'm sure there's more people alive. I don't think it's just him down there. I do think he'll team up with her eventually to go and figure out what else is going on. Either that or either two things. Either he's going to eventually go with her, or he's going to say, I ain't going with you. I ain't doing that. And then later on show up. He's probably going to die. Sorry, but that's the case. I do still think that she's going to see remember the black sheriff who was before her. I think they're going to see him, and I think they're going to see his wife. Because remember, his wife was like, I want to go outside. I don't think she's dead. I really don't think so. And then he said he wanted to go outside a little bit later on in season 1. I don't think he's dead either. I think they found another location or another situation. I do think they're going to find another silo that is alive and well. I don't think all the silos are destroyed. I think some are and some aren't. So this episode, as you can see, didn't show a lot. It was much more about flashbacks and about Juliette. They didn't show the silo, any other characters. The only characters they showed that we remember is Shirley, Martha, and Juliette. Everybody else was kind of like, we don't know what's going on there. So I'm looking forward to next week because I'm sure that's when we start seeing the other characters. So anyway, this was great. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll get better at the pacing of this and the speed of this. We'll get better at collecting data here. And we'll definitely have a good time with this. So let me know. The goal is that after this show, we're going to do Severance. And then I don't plan to do another show until Stranger Things. Now, unless something else comes up that's really big, or these start to perform really well, and you guys are like, we want another show, and, can you watch this show, and, whatever. Maybe we'll do that. But as of now, these are the only 3 that I plan to do, unless, we see otherwise. That's it. Don't forget, next week is Wicked Week. We'll still do Silo next week. And I'm going Wednesday to go watch Wicked, so I'm very excited. I actually thought I wasn't going to get to go Wednesday. I thought it was going to be Thursday, but I'm going Wednesday, which is even better because that gives me more time to record and do all the things I need to do. It's going to be more of a packed week because I still have to. Wednesday is the day I record the podcast, so I have to still record the podcast, still need to watch the movie, still need to edit the podcast, and I still need to record a spoiler and a non-spoiler review of Wicked. So Wednesday's gonna be a lot next week. But at least, we'll be right in the middle of Wicked Week. So stay tuned for that. If you have not already, don't forget to like, subscribe, push that notification button because we're gonna keep bringing this stuff to you. That's it.